I love line graphs that go down, especially when they're talking about GPU prices. And that's what we have here today from 3D Center. And then I've got a bunch of other info for you as well. Now, if you've been following my channel or even just this type of video for a while, this type of information, you should be used to this particular chart. Now, what is this? This is from 3D Center, and they're tracking the German retailers, and they're looking at the prices set in relation to the US MSRP. And they've been doing this for a long time. Now they're tracking very specific cards. You can see the red line tracking AMD Radeon RX 6000 series, and it's not a particular card or anything like that. It's the average of the best price available for all cards. The green line is the NVIDIA GeForce 30 series, tracking the average of best price for all cards. And it's not tracking their actual price, it's pricing their percentage in relation to the US MSRP. And that's including exchange to euro and 19% VAT. Okay? Now there's also a yellow line on this graph, which is Ethereum value. And in a lot of places on this graph, you'll notice a correlation between Ethereum value and GPU pricing. And then also we have this dashed line here, which is availability, average of all cards plus total availability. And here's one of the best things on this chart, guys. The availability is off the chart compared to anything we have seen since they started tracking this information back in January, not of this year, but January of 2021. Availability is off the chart. Ethereum prices bounced back a bit, but have fallen again, and they're nowhere near their peaks, and we're getting infinitely closer. Well, not infinitely closer, maybe I'm just too excited, but we're getting closer to the proof of stake, which will hopefully actually occur this time, which would make GPUs no longer being used to mine Ethereum. Now there's still other coins out there and such, so who knows what could happen with that. But availability going up, Ethereum value going down, closer to proof of stake, all of these things are factors in this price decrease. And notice, if I get my fat head out of the way, I could I'm not covering up any better prices. To my eye here, it looks like we're basically at the best prices that we've seen in a year and a half, coming in right here at basically matching where we were at the beginning of January 2021 when they started tracking this. So are we where we want to be? Are we at MSRP? No. Do we even want to be at MSRP when we're getting so close to the next GPU launch? No, we'd like to actually be starting to get under it. But I think that's another thing factoring into this. We do have GPU launches coming up soon. By the way, this is just a random little tidbit, but there's a rumor of the 3070 Ti 16 gigabyte getting canceled and the 3090 Ti finally actually maybe coming in here on March 29th, but spending that much on a GPU when we're getting this close to the new high end, bit interesting. By the way, if you are actually looking at buying right now, if you may or may not have watched my video a week ago where I had some different information that was from techradar.com with an article tracking eBay list prices and with scatter plots looking at the average max price and the average min price over a few months here coming up to near the end of February. And we did also see these eBay list prices trending down as well. And this is, I believe, on the US eBay market. So while 3D Center is tracking new sales at German retailers, we also do see that evidence coming in the US eBay market. Okay, so should you actually buy now while it's low? Is it gonna keep coming down? What's the call here? Well, I've got to get a few thoughts about that. Well, number one, nobody can tell you for sure if the prices will continue to come down. But look at this availability line. That availability line is huge. We have not seen availability like this in forever. And at some point, if stock is sitting on shelves, prices should come down to where people will actually buy them at those prices. So that's huge evidence. Also, Ethereum value does matter. Sorry if it's hard to see, guys. I didn't choose light yellow on a white background. That was 3D Center. And again, even if Ethereum value comes back up, people buying GPUs for that still have to consider the possible proof of stake switch and whether or not they can get enough return on investment before that happens. Also, we don't know what could possibly happen with the whole Russia and Ukraine situation, with any kinds of disruption to supply chains or availabilities. I mean, with chip makers not selling there, maybe that means there's more availability in other markets. But maybe it also causes other disruptions. I don't know. I can't predict that kind of thing. So I would say question mark, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if this did continue to trend down, especially as we get into new GPU launches. Now, some people think, should you wait for the new GPU launches before buying? Well, you guys have to remember that depends a lot on which class of graphics card you're looking for. Because usually new GPU launches, and I'm talking AMD and NVIDIA, we'll see what Intel does here and how much we actually get on the DIY market versus just bundled into integrated systems. But when we're looking at the next gen cards from AMD and NVIDIA, they usually lead with their high-end cards. And the mid-range and lower-range cards usually don't come in for months later, sometimes even a year. Think how long we had to wait for the RTX 3050 after we had the RTX 3080, right? So if the new cards just jump in at double the performance, but also at a high price, there's not necessarily going to be downward pressure on the lower end cards. So if you are looking for lower end cards to come down, I wouldn't necessarily say that waiting for the next launch would actually necessarily accomplish that. And look at what happened with our previous launch of the 3000 series and 6000 series cards, when we saw people who had tried to sell off prior to that and then buy new got just absolutely destroyed by the scalpers and the miners. So I'm just saying, waiting for the new launch doesn't always solve all your problems, although we could certainly hope that this launch will be better. Now, if you are thinking, you know what, the new launch is still months away, we don't know what will happen with pricing, this graph could come back up. If you're looking at buying right now, I just spent a little while this morning looking at what actual prices are available. Now, disclaimer, yes, I'm going to show prices on Newegg. Why am I doing that when Newegg got all the bad publicity and everything like that? I am showing you the lowest prices I can find at major retailers, and most of them right now in the US are at Newegg. That's why I'm showing it. If you have thoughts on whether or not you would actually like to buy on Newegg, fine. I'm just showing prices. I'm not advertising Newegg. Okay, let's be clear. Now, at the lower end, the RTX 3050 is coming in around this $380 to $390 price range. So if the RTX 3050 is, you know, somewhat worthwhile. However, if you're willing to spend just a little bit more, the RX 6600 has been coming down in price, and it's now been available pretty easily around $430. And I've been tracking this over the course of several months. For a long time, it was like a deal to find it for $500, and then it was more in stock around $470. Then we started seeing $450. It's only just recently we've been seeing it for around $430. And I think part of that could be downward pressure from the RTX 3050, which has been available under $400 fairly consistently. Now, if you're comparing these two cards, the RX 6600 is significantly faster at rasterized performance. So the 3050 would need DLSS just to kind of catch up to it in a lot of titles. Although having DLSS and a little bit better ray tracing is, you know, something to consider there. In terms of just straight up performance, the 6600 has a win. And speaking of which, the 6600 XT version, which is almost 20% faster than the 6600 non-XT version, is also now pretty easy to find for $500. This used to be like bought up instantly if it came anywhere near $500, and they used to more consistently sit in stock at around $600 and be deals at like $550 even. So these are coming down as well. Now here's the bad news. As soon as you pass this price point, this starts to get really difficult. By the way, if you're wondering how this compares to the 3060, 3060s right now seem to be costing a lot more, and the 6600 XT performs better than a 3060, at least if we're not considering ray tracing. And again, DLSS would help you catch up, but there's compromises to the image quality involved there. I think the 6600 is the better buy here, especially when it's cheaper. Now here's the problem. The 3060 Ti, I can't find any real good deals on. The best pricing I could find on it right now is Amazon for over $700. So at this point, this is where I kind of think is the limit on reasonable priced graphics cards right now, and I'm saying reasonable for like what we've seen recently. And like you're not gonna absolutely destroy the bank, hopefully with the $500 GPU. Anything past that feels like diminishing returns, but what are the better deals there? Like I said, I can find a 3060 Ti for $732. That's kind of, it's a little bit faster than the 6600 XT in rasterized performance. Also has much better ray tracing, has your DLSS and things like that, but that is a lot more money, and I don't recommend jumping that high up. 3070s are incredibly difficult to find and still seem to be priced around $1,000, whereas I can find a 3070 Ti version for $900. Now, this is going to be a significantly better graphics card than your 6600 XT, but it's $900, so you're almost doubling the price just to get that additional performance. But if you're looking for like high-end 1440p gaming, this still does seem to be a better deal than the next step up, trying to get a 3080, 6800 XT, that kind of stuff. So 3070 Ti here, and again, these used to be selling for $1,200. So seeing one for $900 is still like a $300 discount compared to what the market was very recently. Still incredibly overpriced, and I hate to see only 8 gigabytes on that model. Now, jumping up from here, I think you might as well just buy something super high end. And the best options I'm seeing are either a 6900 XT from AMD, and ignore the $1,500, there's a $150 off promo code that gets applied instantly in cart, so this is actually $1,350. Which is the same price that Newegg seems to have available on their 3080s, which I'm seeing right here. So we're seeing about $1,350 on a 3080 12 gigabyte. Now I will mention I saw one for like $1,180, but it was on the Newegg marketplace and coming from China, so that doesn't seem to make sense to me. All right, I think that's a look at what the market is here. This is that Chinese one, so I don't know, seems a little bit sketchy. 6700 XTs still seem to be a bit overpriced here at $800. And I think I'm gonna wrap up my video here. I gotta get to work. I hope all of you have an excellent day.